Able to
Set a call
connect.
to order. The board is met in closed session. We have a quorum, so let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're not able to connect.
Thank you. Student perspectives.
He's coming to connect. We're not able
Schwartz?
to connect.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have a special group with us tonight. Technically, they are not a school group. The group that represents themselves as the Cancer Smashers, and it's a group started by Mrs. Tischler, one of our South High parents. The kids started when they were much younger, but their group has grown, and they do many community fundraising and philanthropic things to support the fight against cancer. Anybody that's been involved in our Baldrick's efforts the last few years has certainly seen them at our programs and seen their efforts. So they're here tonight to tell a little bit more about their program and some special things we have coming up. I should say that they support a cause near and dear to my own heart, number one, and number two, it's proud as a principal because they have learned probably the most important lesson we all learn, and it's that we benefit the most when we help someone else. And to see them and the amount of support they give to our community is just great. So without further ado, I'll let each of them introduce themselves individually.
Hello, I am Sean Tischler. I'm a junior at Downsgrove South.
I'm Colin O'Rourke, and I'm a sophomore at Downsgrove South.
I'm John O'Rourke, and I'm a senior at Downers Grove South.
I'm Amanda Soresko, and I'm a senior at Downers Grove South. Do I have to talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So I guess I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Cancer Smashers. I joined this group when I was about in 7th grade, and then when I went off to Downers Grove South, I was still in the group. We did a fundraiser like the one we're doing now, where we sell fists. We did it at Eisenhower Junior High School, so pretty much we have a fist that's $1, and all the money that we raise goes towards the H Foundation, and we've helped them so many times over the past years. We've done so many different things. We did like a survivor's walk. What else?
We have an annual Christmas party that we do every year, and we get toys and we bring them down to the Children's Hospital, Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, so that the kids have toys to play with. We haven't actually been able to see the kids, but we know that the toys are getting to them.
Yeah. Anything else that I should say? Oh yeah. How much was the
80,000.
we sorry. We granted, right? Was that the rate?
Yeah.
We granted a microscope for the H Foundation. I believe it was around $68,000. So we are very thankful to have given them that, or to help purchase that, to better find a cure to cancer. I probably should have said this in the beginning, but we're pretty much just a group of kids who started this, and with the help of Miss Tischler and all of our parents and friends and family, and we continue to grow each and every day. And so we just thought we would do it at the high school level now and get more people involved as possible. Would anyone else like to talk? Okay, thank you.
And one thing that's different with our volunteer group is 100% of the $1 that you buy the fist for goes directly towards Northwestern University, because we have a recycling business that we do. So we take in scrap metal from the neighborhood and we recycle it, and that's our operating funds. So all the t-shirts and the sweatshirts that we got were free. All the PayPal fees and our 401k and insurance, all that is paid for by our recycling business. So 100% of all the donations and costs from you guys buying the fist go directly towards the cause.
Wow,
So yeah.
that's excellent.
Make sure you know what we're doing this week with our rivals.
Oh yeah, so this week is our fundraising week. We are again selling the $1 Cancer Smasher fists. But we are having a competition with Hinsdale South. So it's started today and it goes through Sunday, the 13th, and the winner will be announced at the basketball game where we play Hinsdale South.
That's the 18th.
Yeah, that's the 18th.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about the trash cans, or do you want me to?
Yeah, going along with the recycling, we also have trash cans in our own cafeteria and cafetorium where people can throw like aluminum cans to also help with the recycling business and our operating funds.
Sean, introduce your mom.
I'd like to introduce a very special, very important person. This is my mother, Beth Tischler, the creator of this group.
Hi, thank you. You know, one of the things that the kids did not mention, which I think is really, really huge, is actually the money that the kids raise goes to the Robert H. Lurie Cancer Center of Northwestern University. Northwestern is really, really been hands-on with these kids. They have toured their labs. They have had one-on-one conversations with doctors in Germany. They have been involved in, well, we've actually toured there a couple times. They now have a program where they open up their labs to the public, which they never did before. They met the Cancer Smashers. It was just such a great experience for everybody involved. But the one thing that I'm most proud of is there's actually an award that is set up. This was a huge deal called the Cancer Smasher Fellowship Award. And it's, again, through Northwestern. The kids get to choose the winner of their award. So they will basically put this award out, and they have to kind of dummy it down for myself and the kids to understand what they are looking to do to help cure cancer. So really, really super proud of these kids. They've done, if you guys go to our website, I mean, I could talk for hours, but really just go to our website. It's www.cancersmashers.org. We have pages of things that they've done, and take a look at it, and it's really phenomenal. It is kids run. I'm there to make sure that everybody's safe, but they run the program. So please, I encourage you guys to take a look at it.
Okay, I'll just say it really quick. Okay, sorry. We also made a video for the school. I don't know if the other videos are on our website, but on the South website, we made a video that was in the announcements, and it talks about the competition that's going on. So if you would like to watch it, it's just on the website, right? And donate. Thank you. I don't know if...
Questions?
Oh, yeah. Any questions?
How many students are involved in Cancer Smashers?
We have 57 right now, anywhere from junior high through high school.
And when were you started?
2011.
Oh, wow.
How do we buy a fist?
Yeah.
You could donate online at the www.cancersmashers.org, or actually, we're doing them during our lunch periods. I don't know if you are going into the school at all anytime soon, but you can just go into the cafeteria and just buy one.
Where is this recycling business located?
It's actually kind of ran through our own house. Like we have our own Cancer
Yeah, it's in
Smasher
your
van.
kitchen. Okay.
Yeah, and we basically kind of go around the neighborhood looking for stuff on curbs. We have like a few people who collect cans for us from their house, and we pick them up. So yeah, it's what we
Got
can
it.
find.
Thank you.
We do have a Cancer Smasher van, so if you see it going through the neighborhood, a lot of times people notice it's got the different cancer ribbons. It's a big white van, but yes, he's absolutely correct. We do collect, we are constantly getting emails, calls, texts of people saying there's a hot water tank on 71st Street, and we say, hurry up, let's go get it.
Zip on over to get it.
But really, honestly and truthfully, everything is paid for through this recycling program. It's amazing how much money the kids actually do come up with.
That's great.
Okay,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we certainly are very proud of you, not just
Thank
Mr.
you.
Schwartz, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Strategic plan?
Okay, Dr. Kupka, the District 99 Foundation has been working on a strategic plan since early in the calendar year. interest in the foundation to change its practices and become a much more robust organization. And to get us to that point, we have worked on or the foundation has worked on a strategic plan. Mr. Olson is going to make a presentation about that plan tonight. He has been the president of the foundation for a number of years, and we certainly appreciate his service to the school district and the community.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks for having us here. And actually, I'm going to present this along with Don, who is also a foundation board member. So the two of us are going to kind of tag team through this presentation we put together. So I'll let Don start off.
Sure. Who's controlling the slides?
Oh, Tony is over there.
Okay, next slide. So it was about a year ago this time that the foundation took a hard look at its operations and its recent successes and realized that we needed to do something about the future of our organization. Over the past few years, our fundraising efforts have not been as strong as historically they may have been, or as strong as we believe they could be. We looked and felt that there was definitely a lack of community awareness as far as recognition of the foundation within Downers and Woodridge and Lisle and Darien. We felt that there was definitely a lack of clarity for what we actually needed to be asking for. We didn't think that there was a good plan of how we were going to develop the board going forward. We've certainly seen an attrition in the amount of board members in the foundation. We've had some successes as far as getting new board members in place, but no real plan for succession or for growing the board. We certainly realize that we're a group of professionals, all of which who have full-time positions and don't have the time to dedicate the amount of hours that is necessary to take the foundation to the next level. So what we decided upon was that in order to, I guess I would say that we were at a crossroads, and we were trying to decide whether or not we were going to continue down the path of administering this foundation or call it a day and hand over our funds to the district. And we decided to invest in the future, and we thought the best way to do that would be to create a strategic plan for the foundation. That'll lead me to the next slide. So as part of this strategic plan, we developed some clear goals that we wanted to look towards when we were developing the plan. We certainly wanted to create different revenue streams. Over the past few years, Martha has been integral in creating Pizza Wars for the foundation, which has been very successful. We have some historic revenue streams that have been decent for our organization, but we all decided that we needed to either grow the existing revenue streams, but also in addition to that, create new fundraising revenue streams. We recognize that at the levels that we're presently raising money at, the foundation is not going to continue to be a partner of the school district. In order to provide some meaningful support to the school district, we recognize that we need to bring our annual revenue to somewhere in the vicinity of about $200,000 a year, at least. And as part of this strategic plan, we set a goal of roughly $190,000 by the end of 2019, which we'll get into when we get into revenue projections. But in addition to looking at our fundraising activities, we also recognize that we need to develop a board leadership program, a succession plan, and we need to understand how we develop and attract new board members. In addition to growing our donor database and those who we can solicit to. So we set a goal of increasing our board membership from 8, where it is today, to 16, so doubling the board by 2019. Certainly, we want to increase the awareness of the foundation and its mission within the community. And lastly, which was a goal that was developed through the strategic plan, but one in which that I think we certainly had our eye on at the beginning, was we definitely recognize that we need a full-time leadership, meaning someone who's dedicated to the foundation in an executive director position.
Yeah. All right, well, so the big part of the plan is raising the money, right? That's the big part about what our purpose is here, is to give back to the school district and, be the, allow the research and development, if you will, of the district to happen. So we came up with, our plan was a 3-year plan. So we came up with 8 fundraising activities, some of which are already in place. We feel we can develop them further and have them grow, and others are ones that, are pretty common practice in other foundations, just we haven't implemented them yet or begun. So the first one is the annual fund campaign. We're proposing, 2 a year, sending out appeals letters. We're actually in the process right now of putting together, I think, our first one, which is supposed to go out this week. So we're actually a little ahead of our own schedule. We had said we would do this by 2016, but we were like, well, you know what? There's no reason now. It's the end of the year. This is, when everybody's making their donations and a year tax time. So we're putting that together with the help of Jill Browning and Megan Schroeder and Steve Pratipus, who is the consultant that we worked with. They put this together, and we're really excited about that. But anyway, so the idea is it's a twice-a-year program. Spring, beginning of summer, or end of year. We haven't nailed down the dates yet, but we're working on that. We look at that as being something that we think we should be able to raise about $25,000 a year by the 2019. So that should be, and that's a pretty conservative goal. The next one on the list is major gift campaign. We're planning on rolling that out in 2017, so it's not right on our list because there's some work that has to be done up front. We need to put together a case for support that we can go out to the community, to philanthropic donors, and really show why there's a need to to donate to the Education Foundation. And we really need to do some training on the board side as well, the Education Foundation board, so that we can make those asks. And so there's time that needs to happen for that. But we believe that by 2019, that should be a $30,000 a year revenue stream at least for that. Pizza Wars, you're all aware of, very successful. We're really happy with it. It's a lot of fun. January 14th. Expect to see you all there.
Get your tickets from Dr. McDonald.
But anyway, so there's a lot of potential for that as well. Reaching out for sponsorships, for vendors to sponsor, local community to get more involved, to grow it. We'd love to see it become more popular with people and have to move it out of the cafeteria so that we can continue to grow. But so there's definitely room for growth there. And by 2019, we're figuring about $20,000 should be available from Pizza Wars. Brick sales, another event activity that's already in place, but it really could use some marketing, some more, getting the word out there. Martha has done a great job with getting to the reunions, and that really has been probably the biggest way to get that word out there and get the sales. And so, but to really to kind of develop that and move that along, it could be we're anticipating by 2019 to be about $10,000. Fall registration, another activity that is already out there, but probably gets lost in the shuffle of paperwork that is part of the whole registration process. And so we don't really, we really need to come up with a plan on how to make that more visible, to really show the case for support, to make it so that it becomes top of mind and make it easy so that the donations can happen. I think when you go electronically for your registration, that will help it be easier, so that it will be able to be easily seen and click and pay kind of thing. And we think that should be about $12,000 by 2019. We can get that program up and running. Foundations and grants, that really is kind of a specific niche. We looked at, we would need to have a grant writer be part of that, whether it be an executive director with that ability, that knowledge, but there's a lot, or hiring a consultant to do that, because it's really a relationship thing. It's getting a fit between the foundation that's providing the grant and our foundation and what the needs are, and making sure that we have a program that fits them, and so they will sponsor us. That one, we were actually thinking of starting to kind of work on that in 2016, but by 2019, again, about $12,000 we would think annually for that. And the last two big things on our list, to round out our 8 there, is a gala event. Not uncommon, a lot of foundations and nonprofits have gala events, but we would want to do something that's not necessarily, maybe it is, but not necessarily a fancy ball or anything, but just something that is unique. Maybe it's a beer and wine tasting event that can be more casual and more a fun kind of a thing, or maybe it is a formal. We don't have a plan yet. Our plan is right now. What our plan is that we would do something in 2017. We need time to plan it and put it in place. It's not ready to go right away, but it's definitely something that we should do. We want to reach out to the community, get people involved. Again, gets awareness to the foundation, and that is we're looking at $50,000 a year annually by 2019 for an event like that. And then the golf event, another event. It's a different person that we're looking for that maybe doesn't go to the gala but goes to the golf, or maybe they go to both. But it kind of hits two different parts of the community. That one we're looking at starting it up in 2018. So again, we're kind of like taking pieces as we go along the way, but we're looking for something that kind of be unique. Maybe we'd like to have it be participating with the athletic departments and have something working out with that, where there's coaches are playing with the the foursomes. So we got like fivesomes out there, but just making it something different and fun that we can again tap into other people in the community that would be interested in working with us. So that one we're looking at by 2019 about $35,000 a year would be our goal. So get that. What we did is we put together a really quick calendar to kind of look and make sure that this was a feasible plan, that all these different events and ideas can happen together. So you can see at the top there, the annual fund campaign. We've got 4 months blocked off because, like I said, we've got like a primary and a secondary. Primarily we'd like to have one in November, but we haven't decided whether it should be April, a tax time. Is that a good time to have it, or is maybe better at June when kids are getting out of school? So you've got kind of graduation going. Which is the better time? We haven't vetted that out yet, but we know that we want to do something in the kind of the beginning, middle of the year, and then we want to have at the end of the year. So we're going to pick those. The major gifts, the foundation grants, and the brick sales, it's a continuous thing. It's not a once-a-month thing. It's all year. We're working on it all year. And then you can see the other green squares. Pizza Wars, is in January. Fall registration is in August. That's when it is. And then the gala event, golf kind of in the beginning of summer, and a ball or something in the fall, kind of a welcome back to school and a welcome to summer kind of event, kind of those things. So you kind of see how our calendar lays out what we're thinking.
So this slide summarizes kind of what Eric was referencing by activities and our projected revenues. As you can see, it also summarizes our activities from 12, 13, 14, and 15. So you have a feel as to where we are presently. And I think is indicative of why we needed a strategic plan in the first place. We feel very strongly that our community can support this foundation in our district far more strongly than where it's presently supporting the foundation. And I think that's more of a factor of the organization of the foundation than it is, our community. Mm-hmm. So when we went through the strategic plan, we relied heavily on our consultant to guide us as far as what the projected revenue should be. He was, relying upon his experience in this area with other, similar groups of our size and mission. So I think these are relatively realistic and hopefully conservative numbers. Certainly Eric's going to talk to you about an executive director. You can see quite a ramp up between 17, 18, and 19, and specifically in 16, by the implementation of certain projects. I think it's important to note, and Eric will talk a little bit more about this than I will, that the implementation of an executive director won't take us to our goals overnight. That individual is going to need some time to implement the plans, implement relationships, which will take some time. There's no doubt about that. So what we've tried to do here is sort of introduce some of the major events in staggering years, like Eric had mentioned, the gala event not coming in until 2017, the golf event not coming into 2018, implementing the new annual appeals in 2016, starting on our major gifts and foundation programs in 2016, so that we're not slamming the new board and or the executive director all in one year with 3 major new events and programs that we've never had. So that's our revenue forecast in a nutshell.
Right. So before we can get to raising those kind of funds, though, we need to really rethink our foundation board at large. You need the people in place to make this happen. One of the things we really want to do is to make the foundation board a place that is, desirable and exciting to be a part of. And so, that's one of the things that is part of this. We did the strategic plan was kind of 2 pieces. It was fundraising and board and volunteer leadership development. And so this is that leadership development part. Without they go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. It'll fail. So as part of our plan, we need to clearly define the board's roles, align them to our initiatives so that we can make, these appeals to make these activities happen. So that everybody who's on the board, anybody who wants to be on the board, knows exactly what they're being asked to do. Looking for new members, looking out there who want to embrace our mission, with not only their time and their talent, but their treasure, if you will. We talked earlier, grow it to 16 members, have a volunteers level that is, 10 members, so that we have the bodies available to make all these activities happen. And then, as Don said, hire an executive director. I mean, to do all of this work and to do it to the level and the professional level that we are able to do, we know that we're capable of it. There are plenty of other high school districts who are similar, or even, I would say, not as capable, that are doing $250,000 a year. And so we know, this is not something, we're not a pie in the sky. We know we're shooting for something that's realistic. So what I did is I put together with my little attempt at a spreadsheet here, a pro forma budget for a compensation for this position, executive director. The number we start with is, if you look at the first line, 2016 total compensation says $80,000. There was a survey that was completed and was just released last month of non-for-profit executive directors in the Metro Chicago area. It was perfect timing, and it showed that that the average salary for this position of this size of a foundation with this expected revenue is between $65,000 and $85,000, all in compensation. So we said, okay, I'm going to make this conservative. We started with $80,000. We said, okay, we'll start with the top and see how the numbers play out. Don't really have a sense of what the benefits are versus the salary, so we just decided, we would do a $15,000, $65,000. So those are just, kind of off the cuff numbers. Taking that and running it down for those first 3 columns, we added a 3% a year cost of living increase. Again, thinking it was conservative. Who knows what medical insurance is going to run? Some years it goes, 10%. Some years it's flat. We don't know. But we used 3%, figuring that was a conservative number that would get us kind of a continuing growth over time. Moving to the right of the column then, what we are looking at is we're asking that the district help the Education Foundation and be vested interest in this program. So we're asking that the district help us get started by picking up a larger portion of the salary, and then also continue with the benefits, that the district would pay this person's benefits. We are looking that this person would probably be an employee of the district because the foundation has no way of providing benefits. So once that happens, that really kind of is a good thing. I think it helps tie us together, that we're both in this together. What we're asking then is that, so this column with the District 99 commitment for the first year is 75% of the salary and the benefits. So it's $48,750 plus the $15,000. The District Education Foundation pays 25% of the salary, and we have a fee for an executive consultant to help us locate this person. The next year, the Education Foundation pays 50% of the salary, and then the district pays 50, and it keeps going that way. Third year, 25% district, 75% foundation, and then from that point on, the foundation is paying 100% of the salary. Off to the second from the right there, that column, that is a loan to the district. So what we're asking is that that the district is not paying for it, but that you're loaning it to the foundation. Looking at this as an investment in revenue generation. And that in the fourth year there, you see in 2019, the foundation begins to repay that loan back at $20,000 a year. So by the fifth year, that is totally paid off. So this upfront seed money, if you will, our intent is to pay it back. But we need help getting it started. We would, it would wipe out the foundation's balance and would kind of end the program. So it would be kind of right back to the beginning where we were. So that's what we're asking, but then continuously, if you'll notice, the commitment from the district, we're asking that you would continue to pay the benefits.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the commitment, the District 99 commitment, you'll notice after the fourth year matches exactly with the benefits column. They're the same number.
Mm-hmm.
And the foundation is paying 100% of the salary. Does that make sense? I hope I answered.
So far, so good.
Okay.
So, excuse me, just to make,
Not quite right. We-
Yeah,
a Couple questions.
Yeah.
so for instance, what you're saying is that in year 2016, you're asking for 99 to make the commitment of $64,000. The Educational Foundation would make, of which 49,000 is a loan?
Yes.
Okay. And then 31,000 would be raised through the foundation, okay.
Right. Now remember, but so really, so
What's not in there that might be a little bit hard to understand is their foundation is also anticipating the cost of about $15,000.
correct.
For a search firm to find the person to do
Okay.
this.
Yes.
So that's included in the 31,000.
Correct.
I don't understand the $63,000 commitment then. That's what's confusing me.
So the 63,000 is the 15,000 from the benefits column.
Right, got that.
Plus the 48,750.
Okay,
Which is 75% of 65,000 the salary.
got it,
Correct.
okay.
So we're asking for 75% of the salary in 2016, 50% in 2017, 25% in 18, and then just benefits thereafter. And all salary payments by the district would be in a loan.
Right.
Okay.
But you do want the district to maintain benefits
Yes,
for perpetual,
yes.
For perpetuity. Yeah.
with no reimbursement back on those benefits.
Not under this proposal.
No. Are we still doing questions?
Yeah.
Is it common practice to have an executive director be an employee of a district?
We're researching that. We
Okay.
know that at some school systems, it is an employee of the district. We know that others it is not.
Okay.
The issue about obtaining benefits
Yeah,
is a big issue.
I'm sure it is, right.
Because there wouldn't be a way for the, it would be difficult for the foundation or to provide
For
a
one
platform
employee,
to
right.
provide those benefits.
Right.
But
I
in
was
terms
just-
of, we are researching that at this point.
Okay.
I spoke to, last month, I had, Joe Browning and I met with the executive director for the Lincoln Way High School District.
Okay, ooh, okay.
And she is an employee of the school district.
I asked because I know when the foundation was started, there was an effort to keep it totally separate from a school
understand
district.
that.
But apparently that practice has changed over the last, which is fine, I just was
Well,
curious.
it's like, as I said, I know of other
Yeah. who do
educational
it.
foundations where that is not the case.
Right,
I guess
and
what
that
I would.
person works without
my-
benefits probably.
My perception of this, having worked with the foundation for more than the 8 years I've been superintendent,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people, some of whom are in this room, who have put in an extraordinary amount of
I
their
know.
personal time.
Mhm.
But it's to
I totally get
increase the yield on the
Sure.
foundation beyond $15,000 to $20,000 in a good
No.
year.
Absolutely.
It's not going to get done by volunteers. That's just the facts.
That's
Because
right.
I've seen the effort of volunteers for 8 years.
And I'm sure you've seen, on the other hand, that the districts that have executive
Yes.
directors are raising a lot more money, I would guess.
I've been at events, foundation events, where
Ooh.
they likely raised over $100,000 in one night.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Chicago media personalities emceeing the event, and they had people writing very large checks. And I mean, I've been there, and I went purposely to see this, and I was invited through friends or colleagues. I mean,
And it happens.
I know that happens.
Correct.
Those are real expectations, but those are all run by professional
Got it.
people.
Understood. Thank you.
And, I mean, another point to this is, the foundation is sitting on reserves of roughly
A little over 100, 110,
105.
something like that.
So the foundation does have some resources to throw some skin into the game here, if you will. We'll get into a next slide about what the budget looks like when we start with paying our costs. But, okay, well, we can move to that one.
Why don't we do that?
That's a good segue. So this is just the projected revenue summary with the loan repayment and the salary commitment of the foundation. So you can see that even after throwing in the salary and loan repayment schedule for the foundation, that our bottom line of net income is expected to grow. And that's important. And we're asking for an investment so that that bottom line can grow. And of course, as that bottom line grows, it goes directly back to the school district. So this is an investment that the district would be making in its future. Obviously, as Julia said, the foundation and the district are separate, but the foundation's mission is to support the
Sure.
district. So, in that first year, if things work out as anticipated, we'd be able to continue meeting our grant program at a level that we've been doing over the last several years. If we shift more of the burden to the foundation, it could mean that we, may have to take a year off in providing grants, or dipping into our reserves deeper than what we're anticipating. I'm not saying that that's out of the question. It's certainly up for debate and discussion, but this was our reasoning behind the proposal.
Have you thought through the publicity part of the fact that for the first couple of years, you're raising money to pay a first salary?
Raising money for
the salary of the director?
Yeah.
And you're not raising money for the school?
Yeah. Well, that's just reality, Rick.
I know.
So, if we want to take the next step to increase the awareness of this foundation and be able to bring in the revenues that we're going to need to bring in, we're going to need to hire an executive director, and that person just can't turn around the foundation.
No, I know that. My question was, have you thought it through how you're going to sell it to people?
Sell it.
That's how I'm going to sell it. That was my answer.
The radar's going to go up.
Yeah, but that's my answer. I mean, that's just reality. You don't hire someone who is automatically going to take you from a $25,000 organization to a $250,000 organization overnight. It just doesn't happen.
No, I understand it. I just,
Right.
how are you
Yeah,
going to talk to the
That would be.
to the people that are going to be donating?
Certainly, as the questions arise, but that's our answer.
So we have so there are some reserves, so is there a?
Yes.
Kind of a deadline by which if we're going to go out for 3 years, 4 years to 2019, if we haven't realized these kinds of, if we haven't at least paid for the executive director,
Yeah.
at what point would we say?
So, and this goes back to the research of Dr. McDonald, but presuming that the executive director is an employee of the district, it will be this group's decision as to when to fire an executive director if they're not producing the results that are necessary. Certainly, there are reserves there for the foundation, and if this fails, which is a possibility, I would imagine that the foundation may fold. And the reserves would be pursuant to the bylaws of the foundation, given back to the school district. So that is certainly a possibility. We're not, painting a rosy picture to attract your donations to the foundation. But we see, again, I go back to the crossroads argument, that's where we are. And if we continue to proceed as we are, we've been operating at a net loss the last 3 or 4 years, right, Eric?
Yep.
And that's the path we're going down. And we think there's much more potential that's available in our community to do that, and we see this as the right investment to make.
And this position will report to the superintendent, or?
Again, that's subject to Dr. McDonald's investigation, but that's how we see it.
Okay.
Obviously, with input of the foundation board, because the
Of course.
foundation board's going to work with them directly, but Eric and I have talked about the executive director actually attending board meetings and providing a monthly report to the school board. And certainly as an employee of the district, would be.
You have to report to somebody?
Yes, reporting to the superintendent.
Okay.
And they would work out of this office?
Yes.
I had a question, but I can't remember what it was, so if it comes back, I'll.
Would they be provided transportation from the district?
As like a
Well,
employee benefit?
I'm sure they're going to have to interact with outside companies, vendors.
Subject to negotiation as far as their benefit package. I think we're looking at hard numbers, and these are just projections. That would probably be part of the negotiation to their contract.
I did think of my question. Are there districts that do it where the executive director is an employee of the foundation, or they are an employee of the district, but they are not subject to benefits? Is there a variety, or how does?
I think there is a variety. Mrs. Beckman, I've seen different structures.
Scenarios.
I would say that the consultant, Mr. Pratipus, had said that, the level of type of executive director that we'd like to attract is going to demand some sort of benefits.
I would think so.
Specifically health coverage. So I think to attract the right type of person, we're probably going to need to be offering that.
It's considered full-time?
We certainly believe it needs to be full-time.
I certainly
100%
would.
dedicated to 99, where they
Right.
could not co-op with another district or 50% of their
We're
time.
seeing this
or-
as a full-time position. We talked at length about that as well, as to whether this could be a part-time position. But we think,
I wouldn't
at
think
least,
so either.
at least at the beginning.
Right.
We think it definitely needs to be full-time. If it could be something that could be greased wheels in the future and we move to part-time, we're always open.
Well, we don't believe that that'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean, our goal is to continue to keep pushing and keep adding programs.
It's
And not-
continual
and not just-
relationship building.
And not just start to, ride, just coast along. If you want to start doing part-time, you're coasting, so.
No, I guess sometimes I think when somebody had mentioned this before, some of the people that would apply for this job would maybe be also doing this for another district also, and maybe that would not be taking up all their hours of the week, and they would do.
I would certainly expect that would be part of their contract, that they would be committing their time to our district and the foundation.
I think that structure exists.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
Not a full-time.
That's not your intention.
No.
Right.
But you feel that this 80,000 is competitive for full-time?
Pursuant to our salary from our consulting expert.
Right.
And this amount fits comfortably within our operational budget? Well, nothing fits comfortably within our operational budget, but we can do this.
We can do anything we wish to do.
The funds are what they are.
They're what they are.
There's funds
Okay.
going to this.
There is no
not funds
budget for
going to
this at
something
this
else.
time.
Right.
That's right.
That's a
It would
different
be-
story.
It just is what it is.
So your thinking is we would be budgeting it in our next year's budget, correct?
We ideally would like to
Line.
look toward hiring an executive director in the first quarter of 2016.
Oh, okay, so we need to find it in this year's budget, okay.
So I will say, because I once was on the District 58 Education Foundation Board, and 58 tried this, it was about 10 years ago. It failed. But that's not to say that it couldn't have been successful. My experience from that was that you got to have the right person. You got to hire the right person. I don't believe we hired the right person. Now, the pickings were pretty slim. There weren't a lot of people out there who were really, qualifying the right people at that price. So I think there lies the challenge. Is getting the right person for the job, and if the right person doesn't present themselves, then being able to hit the pause button and readjust until you can find that right person. You don't just rush into it. And then knowing that, there are other foundations in the area that are trying to accomplish some of the same things. Have you spent any time speaking to them about what their plans might be?
I have.
Well, we've also talked to New Trier's executive director as well.
Well, what I was really speaking to were the other local groups, though, specifically 58's foundation.
Dipping into the same pot.
The Park District Foundation?
Yeah.
But we are dipping, but we're not really dipping in the same pot, because we really want to go after alumni
Right,
and different community, businesses that really their business model would be more attuned to a high school curriculum than an elementary. So we really look at alumni alone is a tapped resource that hasn't been looked at all. Untapped resource, I should say. And that alone is one of our big things. So. But to your point, I haven't personally looked at any of the foundations in the area, but we did talk, as a group, what would we be going after? And we want to make sure we're not, stepping on the boosters, stepping on the District 58. We want to be working collaboratively with our community. We want everybody to succeed. So we have talked about that, and that's one of the things that the director will be working with is making sure that we fit perfectly in the puzzle piece that we're looking for.
You're
And I think,
tremendously-
Mike,
Go ahead.
with the, I'm sorry, Dr. McDonald, but I think with the finding the right person, I think that a lot of it too is working with Mr. Prepacis. I'm mispronouncing his name, but that he can help us find that right director, and he's a very attuned guy to this.
This is your
connected-
consultant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our consultant, and he yeah, I mispronounced his name, but anyway, I think he's got his hands out into a lot of different areas, and I think that really will help us find the right person.
I just bring it up as, you just,
I know.
you know, in my experience, so knowing that,
Right.
you know, this is a mistake you can make.
I have a question, Don. If this does take off, is there talk where then the foundation would pick up the benefit cost also?
No. Mm-mm. We have no way to do that.
Can't you only get one employee?
You've
We
got
could
one
reimburse the
employee.
district.
That's what I
The
meant, to
foundation can
reim-
reimburse the
Could the
district.
foundation reimburse the district for that?
Nothing's off the table.
benefit.
Rick.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's what I meant.
Nothing's off the table.
I think if this took off wildly, this would not be a big problem to solve.
I
That'd be a
agree.
good problem.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many times in the last
Oh,
4 years we've talked about trying to establish alternative revenue streams.
help the foundation, right,
And,
right,
and,
right.
and so, yes, it's not a guarantee that there'll be success. I don't know what else is, but I know that you gotta get in the race to win it.
That's the way we feel. That's a good way to put
And
it.
so our alternatives are we willing to take a little bit of a risk here with the potential for a long-lasting and large gain, versus just let it all end? Because that's what I just heard this evening, is that they looked at it two ways. One way was, hey, we need to fold up shop, and the other way is, you know, if we're going to do this, we want it to be a meaningful endeavor. We want the people to stop. Everybody's going to continue to work real hard, but we like to see better results for that work,
Correct.
and this is what
Yeah.
they need to have to make that possible. So I'm really
I'm sure I'm
impressed
willing to- mhm.
that, you know, that you've made this,
I haven't seen
this
that plan.
effort. I think that the goals are ambitious, to say the least. I wouldn't call them conservative. But, once again, you gotta aim high. I mean, there's no sense in making small goals.
Make no small
Daniel
plans.
Burnham's
That's
once
right,
said.
as he
So,
once said.
So, why not? I think you've got a consultant that's told you that these are reasonable goals, attainable goals, and I think you've kind of figured out that if you're ever going to get there, there's got to be somebody steering the ship and putting the people together to make it happen and making the contacts. I've spent countless hours on foundations and other charitable things, and it just, you need that support. So I thank you for bringing this forward, and I support
I do
what they're wanting to
too.
do.
Plus, we have to think about the uncertainty of state funding and any other kind of local funding we can generate and motivate, I think is a good thing.
Dr. McDonald, you were going to say something, you got interrupted.
My
sorry.
only point was with regard to the success of the executive director, the fact that all this work has gone into a strategic plan.
It's
I think
very
it
impressive.
Is
Yes.
very, very important, because in effect, we could hire this person and hand the plan to
Right.
him or her and say, here's our plan. You don't have to spend the first year developing this
That's
plan.
true.
We've done it for you.
Ready.
It started. I think that's a tremendous advantage.
If I might add one more thing too, you talk about, you know, publicity, how we, as a district, connect with our community. You know, this is another avenue for raising more awareness of what's happening at North High and South High. Because that's what they're out there selling. And trying to get the support for it. And so that, I think that there's some other intangible benefits to the district beyond just this financial end of it, which I think is positive. So.
Any other questions, or?
Well, so, just to kind of finish up this little slide here is, everyone on the Education Foundation is committed to this. We really want the foundation to be successful. We really want to, keep District 99 growing to being the fantastic district that it is. And, we realize that there are, programs that need to be funded to keep that rolling. So, we're all in it financially. We're in it for the events, to cultivate donors, community outreach, and as Don had said, we want to make sure that we're sharing this on a monthly basis with the board. Bringing the foundation and the district together, working together. And then what we would like to do is ask for the school board, also for your commitment too. We would like to maintain this strong relationship. Every conference I've gone to about on foundations, they fail when there's a disconnect between the board and the foundation. If there is not, if we're not all going in the same direction, if there's any kind of dissent, anything like that, we need to work together. We want to make, and we are doing that right now. We feel that way. So, we want to work with you. We want you to work with us. So, ask you to support the foundation in the community. You're going around talking to people. You know more people than I knew, I'm sure. And telling them about the good things and participating and donating and helping. We'd ask that you all attend all of our events. Nothing makes us happier to have people there, but it's also great, a show of support, across between each other, and then we'd ask, again, our last ask, support an executive director. So that's all I had, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Any last questions or comments?
I just wanted to say I really appreciated the strategic plan, too.
Yes.
It's so detailed and so, I think Dr. McDonald is right. I think an executive director would be really pleased.
It was a good few months we put,
I can imagine.
It turned out, I'll be honest with you, better than I thought it would. I think Martha would agree, she was, we went into it a little like, okay, what's this going to be? But it was amazing.
If we didn't also thank Jill Browning for dedicating her
Yeah.
time and being part of our executive committee,
Jill.
which worked on the strategic plan. She certainly went above and beyond in helping us out in that regard.
Did your consultant help with it, too? With the strategic plan, or was it strictly?
It wouldn't have been anywhere if it hadn't been for him. If anything, he made us keep getting together.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your consideration.
Eric.
Thank you. Thank you. Foundation access to the 99 vendor list?
Well, as part of the strategic plan, the foundation is going to ask the school board if it can have access to the vendor list for the purpose of selling sponsorships to the Pizza Wars event. We believe that in terms of the revenue from patrons, we've pretty much maxed out unless we go to a larger venue and we have more vendors. Otherwise, we can only fit about 500 people, and really that's asking a lot of our vendors to provide free pizza for 500 people. And that's what in effect, that's what we've done. But the way to increase revenue from the event is to sell sponsorships or ask people to or vendors to donate. And we already have a history of that. We have several people and vendors and others who have donated and supported this event. So, but in the past we really haven't allowed access to the vendor list by any fundraising group. In the bylaws of the founder, in the strategic plan of the foundation, it was a request to the board, not just request to the administration. And I do know, I have talking to a number of people who work with public bodies, that they have a budget for this purpose. They have a budget to donate money to the entities they work with for charitable causes. So that would be the ask.
Is there any secret to our vendor list? I mean,
Pardon me?
Is there any secret to our vendor list?
No.
Most of it's on the website anyway.
I'm sure it's all on the website.
Sounds like a,
So I don't have any questions. I don't know that it would be a problem.
But the foundation didn't want to make an ask without the permission of the board.
Okay. It doesn't represent a conflict of interest or anything like that, no.
I don't see
don't
it
think
that
so.
way.
I don't see it that way. Any other concerns or questions?
No, in fact, it's a different entity anyhow.
right.
We get it back in the long run anyway.
Yeah. It's fine with me. Do you need a formal vote?
No votes.
No, it's not a vote.
Just
It's
It's a
Had
If you had an
consensus.
issue with
Had
it,
not?
you'd say that. If not, we'll just go ahead and do it. It's not an issue to vote on.
Does any board member have an issue they'd like to bring up at this time?
I don't.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none.
Great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Curriculum proposals.
Bobbleheads.
Okay, shifting gears, this is the time of the year when
Maybe we should.
the administration brings forth curriculum changes and new courses to the board. We're not voting on these tonight. These are presentations about them to give the board an opportunity to ask
Thank you.
questions. And we have several courses and we have several changes. So Mrs. Accardi?
So as Dr. McDonald said, we have a few really exciting courses to bring to you tonight, as well as a couple of name changes. All of them
Makes
come
sense.
from our Career and Technical Education Department. And just so you know, while some of these are years in the making, but even just this school year, when the proposals come in, they are vetted in front of multiple groups. So parents, students, administration, executive council, they kind of go back and forth and gain input from many different groups, and then we consider that input before moving forward. And so these proposals that are coming to you tonight have been vetted, again, with teachers, administrators, parents, students, and we are in support of these proposals. We have 2 new course proposals and then several name changes as well. So I'm very excited to have, again, they're all coming from Career and Technical Education, which probably is not a surprise, seeing as the last several years we've brought you many from that department. Our department chairs are great at really staying on top in a department that's changing all the time. And so they are going to present this evening. Val Moses is our CTE department chair at South High School, and Mark Mirandola is the CTE department chair at North High School. And so with that, I will hand it over to Mark.
Well, thank you, and good evening. First, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to sit with you today to present these new courses. They're courses that we definitely take a lot of pride in, and I joke with Gina and others here that this has become kind of a reunion for us. It seems every year about this time, we come together and present our new courses to you, and we're really proud of the courses that we've presented over the last few years, and they're doing some great things for students. And again, this year, we've got 2 new courses and some name changes that we think are definitely going to strengthen what we offer to students in district. The first course is 3D Design and Animation 2. So that implies that we have a 3D Design and Animation 1 class, which is a course that has grown in popularity both at North and South High School. So currently we have, I believe it's 3 sections of 3D Design and Animation 1 at South, and we've got 3 sections of 3D Design and Animation 1 at North. So we're looking to add a second level of that course. 3D Design and Animation 1 would be the prerequisite before a student could go on to take 3D Design 2. We have a number of teachers, specifically 2 at South, that are qualified to teach the course, and we've got 2 at North. There won't be any additional cost. It's going to be using a software that we currently use in our first level 3D design class. If there are any additional costs, it might be in like 3D printing kind of material, which is something that we've got budgeted into our grants as well. And this course will be replacing our technical drawing class. Technical drawing has not run at North High School in the last few years. At South, has it run at South?
We've had about half a section, so it's combined with another course.
And the 3D design class, as I mentioned before, is growing in popularity. In fact, we do have a number of students, especially at South High School, that will take an independent study. They'll continue to learn, and the advanced features of the software. So I just want to go over a little bit of the rationale and a little bit about the class for you. And then I have some examples that I wanted to share with you, both some images of what these students have done in an independent study, as well as some video, some animation of what's been created by these students as well. And so we want to bring more students up to that level. So as I mentioned, 3D design animation is one of the most popular courses we offer in industrial technology, which is the part of the department that this falls under. In fact, in North, it's the fastest growing class that we have. And we think that's for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is the gaming and the movie industry. Students, a lot of our students are gamers, and they want to create something similar to what they're seeing in their video games. Same thing with students that are a fan of a lot of like the Pixar movies. They want to be able to create something similar to what they see. And these students really find a niche in our class. We frequently have students that will complete taking 3D design and animation 1, the original course, and they'll ask us, what's next? What's the next course that I can take? To which we usually respond, you can take a CAD class, maybe take an architecture class, maybe one of our engineering classes. However, the issue that we have, while those are great classes, for a lot of these students, they're really not interested in going down that path. They may not be interested in engineering. They may not be interested in taking a CAD class. And so we've been looking for a follow-up class, and really we've just been waiting for that increase in enrollments in that first level class before we officially offer this one. And again, these are students who are gamers, students that are interested in animation. Students in 3D design and animation utilize the 3ds Max software, which is a professional software frequently used in gaming, animated film, interior design, architecture, and the advertising industries. And what we found from a lot of the work that students have created, it really is work that could be used in the advertising industry, in interior design. And I'll show you a few examples in just a few moments. In fact, this is one of the kind of top softwares in creating 3D kind of animation and figures. The 3ds software, 3ds Max software, was used to create like the movie Avatar, which won critical acclaim for visual effects. By the end of the semester in our 3D design and animation 1 class, the students are just scratching the surface with this complicated professional software. And so we want to give them an opportunity to really explore it and to really take kind of what they're able to create as far as modeling in that first level class, and then turn that modeling to be a little more advanced, but also to turn that into animation. And so that's ultimately what we're trying to do in this course in the 3D design and animation 2, as well as I just want to mention there's a number of ISTE standards, the International Society for Technology and Education, that will be hitting on this course, which include creativity and innovation, communication and collaboration, as well as critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. So I do want to show you a few images.
Can I just, before you go on, can I just ask questions?
Absolutely.
Healthy enrollments in the prerequisite course, how many students are we talking about?
We're looking at probably
Around?
80 students.
There's 24 in a class, 3 classes
Yeah.
in
Four
each
classes
campus.
each.
Yeah, so we three sections at each campus.
Thank you.
That's
And so to just show you, some of the images and what students are capable of creating, and now maybe the way it's projected doesn't do it justice, but the level of detail in this, it looks like a photograph of a car. In fact, it may look like something that you would see in an advertisement, possibly, an animated movie, maybe a video game. And so this is kind of that higher level. In the 3D Design 1 class, they're learning some of these basics, but this is kind of taking it up to that next level. Whoops. Students could potentially use something like they're creating here for an advertisement, or this may be something that you would see in a video game. That students that are comfortable and familiar with playing. Just the level of detail. In fact, we've had some students in our independent study, and I didn't include it because it was a pretty big file, that have actually been able to create animations similar to what you see there, and animate it to where they're actually driving through a city, and they've been able to mount various cameras on the vehicle to actually simulate what it would be like for that car driving through a city. And it really is incredible work. Product kind of creating different types of products. Again, an advertisement, you might see something like this in an advertisement. A student just took, an image of an iPod, and they replicated that using this 3D software. And it's not out of the question for students to also use that 3D software then to actually, create 3D models using our 3D printer. this might be something that you would see like in a Pixar movie. The amount of detail that students are able to create. Again, it really is incredible. And then I have an animation here.
Oh.
Hopefully the audio level isn't too high. But what I wanted to demonstrate here was a student actually created this, I believe, using our AutoCAD software. And so what we were able to do then with this student is to be able to take it to the next level to show how this engine actually works.
Can you turn down?
And so then the student can take this 3D model of this engine, and then we can actually start to animate it to see how this engine will actually work. And so we definitely see, some of the uses in our engineering classes on these, visualizations and these different, types of things that they're able to create, and then ultimately animate it to see, how those types of things would work. Really taking our learning, to the next level in some of our classes. And then I've got another example here. This is an example. A student actually created this as an independent study. So this would be about the level of what our students are able to create. And so they were able to tie in an animation using these bipeds in a Scholastic Art Show that was taking place in 2011. So they actually created an advertisement for the Scholastic Art Show. These are actual images of some of the paintings that were in the art show that year. And so they were able to use to create these bipeds walking through this art show. And create an advertisement for this particular art show that year. And so the biped is just going to be a very kind of generic figure. In 3D design animation too, they'll actually be able to kind of put a body on that biped to look similar to an actual being. And again, that's the student that created that, Laura, today. So some pretty incredible stuff, and we see a lot of potential, and our students are really excited about the potential for a course like this as well.
All right, good evening. I'll move on to the second new course that we would like to offer to students next year. That's Civil Engineering and Architecture. This is a Project Lead the Way course. This request is also coming from the industrial technology area, and it's being proposed as a year-long honors credit. There are prerequisite recommendation options, 4 of them: Introduction to Engineering Design, POE, Principles of Engineering, Architectural Drawing 1 regular, and honors. The course would be open to any student grades 10 through 12 who's completed any of the courses just mentioned. Or we do leave the doorway open for anybody who, as a senior, wants to explore. Civil engineering and architecture hasn't taken a prerequisite, but if the staff believes they could be successful, that is a door we do leave open. All the Project Lead the Way courses require summer training for staff. We currently have 2 IT teachers in the district, 1 from each school, who are willing to participate and complete that training this summer. Both of these teachers are experienced architectural drawing teachers who have successfully completed training previously for IED or POE or both of them. We also have a retirement in the department, so there is the potential of hiring a teacher who's already Project Lead the Way CEA trained at South. We would predict 1 section of civil engineering and architecture at each campus next year, and that is based on our current and past year enrollment numbers. Since offering Project Lead the Way courses in the district, there have been 3 to 5 sections at each school of the foundation level courses. There is a cost for summer school teacher training referred to in the proposal, as well as supply costs, but there are no textbook costs. There's no additional cost for software or teacher support. We currently pay an annual fee to Project Lead the Way. It's $3,000 to participate in the engineering pathway per building, and this is currently being paid out of our Perkins grant. So by adding a 3rd Project Lead the Way course, we're in essence getting more for our money. So. Project Lead the Way is how career and technical education has chosen to address the STEM focus in the District 99 strategic plan. It is a national program. It has a long history. While its roots are in education, it is being sustained by the industry in conjunction with colleges and universities. Project Lead the Way has a website filled with information about the program. I'll just share a couple of the highlights of how the industry has partnered with this organization. In 2006, the Aerospace Industries Association endorsed Project Lead the Way In 2010, Project Lead the Way partnered with Vex Robotics to bring technology and equipment into the Project Lead the Way classrooms. In 2013, Chevron committed $6 million to Project Lead the Way over 3 years, becoming their first national partner. And most recently, Project Lead the Way announced Lockheed Martin as a national partner. So our rationale, several facets to that. One, Project Lead the Way requires a third course. So we knew when we brought Project Lead the Way in, we would need to offer a third course. Offering a third Project Lead the Way course opens the door for us to become a certified school. Should we decide to do so, the proposal explains again what the benefits are to the district and to the students if we go down the pathway and become a certified Project Lead the Way school. Enrollment trends lead us to believe the program has been well received and that we could support a third course. When we brought it in, we thought we'd either offer a third course or we would use TCD as the next level for students. TCD may or may not be a viable option for numerous students. So, why did we choose this course and not another Project Lead the Way engineering course? The answer would be the cost of this course, along with how it aligns with our current courses, with the staff we have, and with our resources. Project Lead the Way engineering courses, the options were aerospace engineering, and that runs about $8,400 per class of 20. SIM, which is computer integrated manufacturing, that would cost us about $27,000 per class to bring in. Digital electronics comes with a price tag of $7,000. Environmental sustainability comes with a price tag of almost $11,000 per class. Or CEA, which comes with a price tag of a little over $1,700 per class. And about $1,600 of that is a one-time expense. So it's surveying, engineering, soil testing stuff that you would use in multiple classes. So it's just a one-time expense. Another reason we chose this is that it aligns with District 909 feeder school that has implemented Project Lead the Way Gateway curriculum. Thomas Jefferson Middle School is offering the foundation units of design and modeling, as well as automation and robotics. So we like that we're aligning with our feeder schools. Civil engineering and architecture aligns well with our current architectural drawing courses. So for instance, the University of Alabama is offering a new major, architectural engineering. I'm told that while architecture focuses on building form and function, which is space, feel, materials, aesthetics, and outdoor experience, architectural engineers focus on how the building works, stability, safety, serviceability, comfort, health, efficiency, visibility, power consumption, and cost. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right on.
Yeah, I'm not the least bit intimidated having you sit there, yeah. And you can see the goals for this course up there on the screen. Then obviously opportunities for our students. Students have the potential to earn college credit for this high school course through their performance on the end of the year assessment, just like they do all the other Project Lead the Way courses. For instance, the University of Iowa College of Engineering offers 3 transferable credits for each Project Lead the Way class that a student scores a 6 or greater on that end of the course assessment. So, FCA, last year, just the last thing I'll say then with regard to CEA and offering it as the third course in this engineering pathway, we did a small sampling of the students who are kind of in that pathway now. And we said, if you've taken IED and POE, if we were to offer a third course, would you take a third Project Lead the Way course? And the response was a unanimous yes.
Next, we would like to focus on a few name changes within career technical education. So we've got 2 name changes, one to our accounting courses and then one for kind of like a subset of within our department. For our accounting name change, we're proposing a name change of our current accounting courses. As it stands, we currently offer a course called Accounting 1 and 2, and then we also offer a separate course titled Honors Accounting. We feel that these names are somewhat generic and they don't accurately reflect the content that is being taught in each course. For this reason, we're requesting a change of Accounting 1 and 2 to the name of financial accounting, because our accounting 1 and 2 course actually focuses on financial accounting. And our honors accounting course, we would like to name managerial accounting honors. Not only do these names give better indication of the focus of these courses, but it also better aligns to college accounting courses. In addition, this will allow students to enroll in the managerial accounting honors course first, should they so choose, and then potentially take the financial accounting class with it looking satisfactory on their transcripts.
Right.
As it stands now, we had a few students, not many, but we had a few students that jumped into the honors level class, and then the following year decided, hey, I want to take accounting 1 and 2, which focused on financial accounting. The way that it was going to appear on the transcript was that it was going to be taking a step backwards, when in fact that wasn't accurate. They were just going to be focusing or studying a different part of accounting. So again, accounting 1 and 2 truly does focus on financial accounting, so we want to name that financial accounting, and then our honors accounting, name it what it truly is, which is going to be managerial accounting honors.
And then our last proposal tonight, as you know, in the Career and Technical Education Department, we have 3 areas. We have business education, we have family consumer science, and then we have industrial technology. And the 4 teachers in industrial technology have requested a name change. Both Mark and I are on board with the name change for a few reasons. Primarily, industrial technology is an outdated name. Most people, when you hear industrial technology, think woods or automotive shop. In fact, that was the name of the department when those were the kinds of courses that were being offered by the district, and now that area is offering all their courses are computer courses. So an example of similar past practice I can give you is home economics updated to family consumer science a few years ago as another area within the department. So
Still home ec to me.
yeah, so basically, because it's outdated, because all the courses now within that area are either engineering courses, there are 4 engineering courses and 8 design courses in there. They landed on this name of engineering and design. We did check with other high school in the areas, and there are similar names for engineering and design for that area in the CT department and other high schools. Again, it will be recognizable by colleges and universities, so very similar to the accounting. We think it will help students when they're coming in. In truth of packaging, more clearly says what we're doing. It will help students when they're leaving and transitioning to college, because again, it better aligns with colleges and universities.
Good stuff.
I think the accounting name change is a good one. We're trying to, as a parent, and my student, we had trouble figuring out
Which way to do it.
Yeah, what we were really looking at, and the sequence of things, and whether or not the classes, how they were connected, and so this clears up a lot, I think, and it does make sense. So you don't, from the transcript standpoint, it doesn't look like you're going back, because that's, they're not going to spend the time to dig into. They're just going to, college is just going to look at the transcript and
spend 10 seconds.
So this was a good change, and I think everything here proposed is.
I think so too.
Right spot
I think I'm sorry.
I just was going to ask, do you have an idea of why there's this huge discrepancy in cost? I agree with you. The one back to the
Project Lead the Way.
Yeah, right.
The equipment, like the sim, had the lathe and all, it's just a lot, it's all equipment-based.
Yeah.
Digital electronics, yeah.
Seems it was an easy choice to make, I'm sure.
I think the new courses sound very exciting.
They do.
And I really, yeah. I don't know if I
Please
go
go
that
and observe.
I really do appreciate you bringing them forward and doing all this work on them. I think it sounds wonderful. And I would just hope that after we vote on this and after we have a new course, after it runs like 2 years, I'd really like to hear some of the students come back.
Yeah, yeah.
And talk about it.
And tell us about it, yeah.
What was good, what was bad, and what they've learned.
It's great to hear that there's still, a healthy support for this and among the students too, because I've run into parents approach me, students approach me about being in architecture, and I've heard from, I always hear the concern, well, you know, it doesn't pay enough. There's not a good future there. Jobs are hard to get, and you have a passion for it, and you're good at what you do, there'll be work there. And it's important to spend your life doing something you enjoy doing, if you can. I mean, it's worth putting the effort in for. So this is all good stuff. Yeah. So, and that architectural engineering stuff, that was new to me till a couple years ago. I hadn't. I was like, what is that? But it's actually more of who I am, honestly. So so it's neat to see the colleges starting to do that, and our program being responsive to that for the students.
Is there thoughts for a fourth class in the Project Lead the Way? If you looking in the future, make it a full 4-year sequence?
We have discussed that. I think that we definitely need to take a wait-and-see approach to see how, you know, enrollment kind of is maintained throughout these 3 courses. One of the things that we certainly don't want to do is just kind of, you know, spread everyone, you know, so thin and continue to add courses to where we're struggling to fill enrollment. There is a capstone course that Project Lead That Way offers, and it's a research. I'm sorry, do you remember the name of it?
Educational EDD, Educational Design and Development, I think.
Where students actually do identify a problem, an existing product,
design
and they're actually creating a new product, and it's a pretty intense course, and I've seen examples at other schools that offer it, and it's incredible. So I would love to be able to get to that level someday, and I'm hoping that with these courses that, you know, we're adding, and the ones that we've added the last few years with engineering and architecture, that we're certainly getting enough students interested to where, you know, we have the numbers to maintain some of these courses. And to, you know, the point that you made about students being, you know, excited, and it's kind of nice to see these courses, I would say, and I could speak mostly on behalf of North, that our enrollment in this particular area has never been higher. You know, in the last few years, we've really seen a huge increase in both interest and a number of sections of these engineering, you know, types of courses, and architecture and design and those types of things. So it really is exciting to see.
Great. Well, the pairing of civil engineering and architecture too, a lot of people may not understand. There's a kinship there. You'll find a lot of people who go into civil engineering who end up, start one way and end up being an architect, and then the other way too, because there's in both fields there's the need to coordinate amongst multiple disciplines. So when civil engineering, you're talking about the building, the electrical, the plumbing, water management, and then of course with architecture you're dealing with all those things within a building, and so it makes sense that these two things are so closely paired.
About what percentage of the class for the engineering type courses are girls, young women?
You think about about approximately an eighth.
There are currently 11 girls enrolled in our 3 engineering classes right now. I just know that because I'm going to take them on a field trip for GEM.
It would be nice. I know
11 out of 75.
if there's something if there was anything we could do
encourage
to
them.
encourage enrollment into the engineering
echo that.
courses.
Yeah.
What
I
about,
mean, we know predominantly in colleges it's predominantly male, and it's hard still for women to break through that. So.
At North, I would say the number is slightly smaller.
Yeah, see.
Off the top of my head, I'm trying to recall a conversation that I had with the instructor who teaches these courses. It might be 8, 9 students.
definitely need to do some
But
work
it's
on
definitely grown in the last
wish I'd
year or
been
two
an
compared to
engineer.
where you know we had it maybe a few years ago, which is definitely exciting to see.
Let's get those women in.
I agree.
I'd love to see us tap into our own talent as far as maybe developing some of those 3D designs for our website. It'd be really cool if we could do like a 3D like Mustang and.
that's a great idea. Leaping out of the screen.
It'd be pretty cool.
I'd like to have the car.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
And those will be the agenda for approval in the next week. Is that correct, Ms. Nidek?
Yes, sir. Ready.
Okay. Next.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staffing ratios.
This is a time of the year where we begin to look at the 2016-17 school year. Critical factor for us is determining the staffing ratio because that it tells us how many teachers we will employ.
I'll look at it on the board.
We have not changed this ratio for the last several years. We feel it's an effective ratio in terms of providing opportunities for our students, but it's also an efficient ratio in terms of cost to the taxpayers. We decided several years ago, instead of making this a one-night issue, this was important enough to do over an extended period, and so this is the first presentation, and the board will actually vote on this in January. So Mr. Tice, has done all the work, and he'll make the presentation.
It's a nice segue from the curriculum proposals to talk about teaching staff for next year.
Yeah.
So at the start of the memo here, and I'm struggling to get the slide down a little bit more here for you. Perfect. Just kind of as a reminder that the numbers that we generate are based on the work of the demographer John Casarda. We've used him in the past. He develops 3 trends, an A, a B, and a C. B is the one that we have generally used. That's where if all of the factors that he looks at come out the way he expects, this will generate the numbers. A is if they are less than what he thinks, C is if they're more than what he thinks, but B has been the trend that we've been using the last few years. We are looking at continuing the 21.8 to 1 ratio. We are looking at numbers currently in our system, so based off of a November poll of our current freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and our projected incoming 9th graders, we would be about 107 kids below what Casarda is projecting, so less than a 2% difference at this point in time. So with that, we have the chart here that shows you kind of like the history of where we've been. So as you can see, the last 4 school years, we've been at the 21.8 to 1. We're suggesting the 21.8 to 1 again for next year off of his enrollment of 5,141. That would give us a total FTE of 235.8. The enrollment would be slightly up over this current school year, so it would be a total increase of a 0.8 FTE from where we are this year, if we were to do that. As we scroll down a little bit further, as we break it down by the buildings, you can see that the north and south enrollments there in terms of how they break up. Again, we are seeing in our system higher numbers for north than what he's projected and lower numbers for south, but overall as a district, we're not that far off from where he is. So one of the things that we've done the last couple of years is take a look at January attendance in terms of what's projected and move the numbers around between the campuses, but not exceed the Casarda projection. That gives us the opportunity to get more of the projected 9th graders into the system. By that point in time, a lot of the kids have taken the private school entrance tests and they've made some decisions about are they going elsewhere or are they going to continue in District 99. So we feel like those numbers in January are better for us to work off than where we are now in the end of November. By that point in time, we've had like our incoming freshman open houses and you know, some of those things that give us a better idea of who's truly going to matriculate to District 99 next year. So as you continue to scroll down, we again are kind of highlighting the idea of the 235.8 would be what the Casarda B projection is indicating. We would use our attendance data from January 29th, 2016 to kind of divvy that up between the 2 buildings. If you keep going, Tony. In the past, you have asked to see what the numbers would look like if we did a different ratio. So I showed you where we were for 15-16, and then I gave you multiple different ratios for 16-17 using the same enrollment data for Casarda, just changing the enrollment multiplier, if you will, 21.8 to 1 to 21.9 to 22, etc., so that you could see what effect that would have on the overall FTE as well as the FTE for the building. We've had a lot of discussions at the cabinet level and at the executive council level about revenue and expenditures for next year and where we might look to make some changes. Currently, we will be recommending in January the 21.8, knowing that we can make changes elsewhere to get our numbers in line a little differently that would not impact this ratio, but I wanted you to see what the numbers were so that when we bring this forward in January for you to vote on, you have some background information here if you were thinking about a different ratio. Keep going, Tony. Oh, and then the bold column reflects the actual numbers that we used. Just scroll up just a little bit for me. After we had played with the numbers, we also this past year, if you remember, when we got done with sectioning, we felt like we could give back some of the FTE from the Casarda projection. And we used that towards the technology support with the one-to-one that we were undertaking this year. So we didn't actually even use all of the 235. You've seen my memo that's requesting an addition for second semester in foundations, but we would look to do that again. If the January, February sectioning numbers indicated that we really didn't need to use all of the 235.8, if that's what you would authorize in January, we would make some of those same kinds of decisions. So this was just for information, and if you have questions between now and January and you want me to produce other information for you, just let me know and I can follow up with that as well.
So just a matter, as what I've been thinking about a little bit lately is knowing about the budget, possible budget constraints we can be having coming down the road. If rather than looking at this from a staffing ratio and saying, this is the number we have to keep, if we wouldn't be better off saying, we've got an FTE right now of 235, would we be better off just saying, let's try to see what we can do about maintaining that level of FTE, at least going to next year. And then the other thing I'm wondering about is if we know we're going to, you mentioned having to maybe make some other cuts or some things in order to maintain the 21.8 to 1. I'd want to know what we were maybe giving up in order to do that.
I don't think we're at a point where we can tell you what we're giving up. I think we're operating under the assumption that the staffing ratio is predominantly affecting teachers and students in the classroom.
Right.
And so that's usually the place we protect. That's the last thing we reduce.
We want to give up.
Right. And what we're saying here is we're not looking at reducing that for next year. We think we need to protect that for next year. Okay. That we have, as we're looking at a lot of different things. We're not looking at that. We've always been, we're obviously under the assumption that the board agrees as well that the classroom is where we should cut last.
True.
But we are in a process right now of reducing costs, and there's really a couple different scenarios. Scenario one is reducing costs just because we think our costs have been creeping up. And you're aware of that. And sometimes, or if it's not necessarily our cost creeping up, but our revenue's creeping down. You know, like we lost $400,000 in state aid last spring, unilaterally at the end of the year. We've had other things like that. So, you know, we're looking at sort of adjusting at one level, but there's another level out there where the reductions would be much more significant. The problem, and we're working on a plan for that contingency, but the problem to do that without the actual legislation in place, without the actual takebacks from the state government, and without, you know, some of the other things that are concrete, it's harder to justify those kind of changes because they will change. If, you know, to cut $1 million, we can cut $1 million without affecting the classroom by making some things leaner, you know, not doing some things we've done in the past. We can do that. Once we get into cutting $3 or $4 million, then it's a different story. Then we are affecting programs. We're affecting opportunities. The service level will not be the same across the board and for everything. And so, I mean, I think our due diligence is to create a plan in case that occurs, but not necessarily to recommend going forward with a plan like that until it becomes imminent. So it's a long answer that didn't really answer your question, Mike, and that is, I can't tell you what exactly we're giving up, only that's kind of the thing we protect most.
And I, as an overarching sort of principle, I agree that that's the thing we want to protect. But, I mean, I don't look at each case individually, and I don't know what's being cut, so it makes me a little nervous.
We don't know yet either.
We will know later.
And that's something we're working on, and you'll know soon enough. I mean, you will know soon.
So, you know, my suggestion, you know, if you were to hold the line at the FT of 235, it would end up being a 21.8 something to 1, you know.
Well, it would keep going up.
Maybe. It all depends on.
But that's an average. That's not an absolute for each class.
Right, that's the trouble. It means there are still classes that have 30 kids.
Some classes are very full.
Certainly.
The core classes.
Yeah, and our PE classes are always.
Right. I just have a curiosity question do we have a feel for why the enrollment is increasing at North?
North more than South.
It's just the way real estate's going, I guess, right?
We've been scratching our heads over the last couple of years. One of the things that you saw in my memo about the foundations, by the end of October, North had 113 transfers this year.
Yes.
Which almost equals the entire last school year when they had 117.
Yeah.
So.
And are they coming from all over? Have you done an analysis of where they're from? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
And 5 or 6 years ago, the big jump in transfers was at South.
Was it South, right?
Yeah.
And we had larger than anticipated enrollment at South, for which we had to compensate.
Right. So that's another thing that makes it really difficult to plan. And of course, that big subdivision is not really filling up yet, right? On the Plainfield Road.
Yeah.
It'll be a couple of years before we'll probably really feel the impact of that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Other questions or concerns? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Thank you. It's always good work.
Oh, the proposed calendar.
Well, this is simply, the intent of this is just to be an update to the board, and
Okay.
it's my plan to put this on the board agenda for this meeting, next week's meeting, and the meetings in January. We have established a committee, district-wide committee, which will include administration, teachers, support staff, and I think we'll have one CMG member too, just to discuss information that we're getting about the different people's perceptions about this. This is kind of based on the model Hinsdale 86 used a year ago, where they had several meetings. They had a joint district committee. We also did a survey similar to the survey Hinsdale did to get input from parents, students, and staff members. I believe at this point, as of this morning, we had 1,200 responses. Now, it's not a scientific survey.
Okay.
You can assume that people who respond are different than the people who didn't for whatever reason. However, that is a fair amount of responses on that. The administration has discussed this in detail. I've also had shared several examples of the calendar with the elementary school districts. I would say some of them are probably going to start early anyway. Some of them prefer not to start early. I'm also meeting with the elementary superintendents on Wednesday. This will be one of our discussions on Wednesday morning to get more feedback from them. The Teachers Association has gathered quite an extensive feedback about this from its members. That's one of the things that we will be discussing with the committee. So, the long and the short of it, we are gathering information. I know that in this area, there are a number of schools that have an early calendar. Air conditioning is going to be an issue. We all know that. And another issue is the alignment with the elementary calendars. And I'm anticipating that we'll get more feedback from the elementary school districts. But we're at the point now, I believe we need to look at all the information we have and make a decision based on that, or a recommendation based on that by the end of January, beginning of February. So that's where we're at.
Now,
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Now, the elementary districts, have they decided on their calendar yet, or are they waiting for us?
Well, I think they prefer, I don't know if they've decided on their calendars yet, Terry. And that's something I'll find out on Wednesday.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Several of them have, typically we would have decided already on ours.
Yeah.
And they always like to know what ours is before they decide on theirs. But one of the dynamics is, 2 of our school districts also send kids to 86. 86 has an early calendar.
This was going to be my
So
question.
either they align with the early calendar or they don't, but they're going to be different than 86. And I think in both cases, more of their kids go to 86 than go to 99.
That's what I was thinking,
And so-
is that they'll go more towards that.
My question was going to be, knowing that 86 has just recently done this, and several of the districts around us have already done this.
Right.
What has happened with those feeder school districts? Have they tended to adjust their calendars to align?
Not sure, Mike.
Is that, yeah?
That's something, I don't know.
You're gonna discuss on Wednesday.
I can't articulate every case. I think that in the survey, we did have a survey information from those, including how that worked with the elementaries. In some cases, that worked well. In some cases, it did not work well. Honestly, there is a movement in some cases to have school after Labor Day. I think 58 is interested in having school later instead of earlier. And then for 68 and 66, I don't think they've made a commitment yet either way. So.
Well, going later has its merits too. I mean, it moves the finals even further away from the break. And so, I mean, I just wonder, have any of you had conversations with constituents about this? I've been approached by several. What is everybody else hearing?
Kind of the same thing, most parents are preferring the earlier start.
Yes.
That's what you're hearing? I've heard the contrary, so I'm just...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And you got to take into account the AP teachers. You push the calendar
Yes.
back, that's more weeks of instruction time they're losing because the test dates are set in May.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if you take another week or two off of that, of which we're already starting, I mean, I gained 2.5 weeks
So
on
you're
my
saying
peers.
earlier start is better for the AP?
I have 2 extra
Right.
weeks of instruction, classroom time.
This is what you're hearing, support.
I'm hearing from parents, they want it before break so the kids can decompress.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing from parents as well, although I have heard from 58 that they're going to promote out starting later. They can't start earlier because of air conditioning in their own buildings.
Okay.
Well, they have 2 schools that are
So-
conditioned, so.
What you're hearing is that 58 won't want to move possibly because of air conditioning
Right.
situations. So,
But from every parent I've talked to, and from every student I've talked to, they all would like to start earlier.
So it's the
students,
staff.
the students, yes, I've heard from
It's the
some
students, yeah.
parents though that are, you know, hey, the weather's a lot better than, you know, it ends up focusing around vacation, family time issues more so than it does around student learning. And those are important things too. You know, of course, we want to hear what the community says, and this is why we're doing this survey. But when we talk about overarching principles, we discuss, that's, for me, it's student learning and outcome is what's best for our students. It has to be paramount, I think. But it definitely is going to create some issues if we don't have alignment between the districts.
Well, one thing about it is, you know, if you're concerned about testing, you know, the weather, of course, in January or December is cold or whatever, and in May it's going to be cooler than in June. So
better to do the testing.
And you know, if you want your finals, you know, and you're worried about the temperature.
We're not doing temperature. Yeah, right.
You know,
have that in June. You can have
odds
really high
are
temperatures.
the temperature's going to go up in June, and if it's done in May, you're done. You know, so.
So,
I hadn't thought about that.
so you're going to be, so the timeline then, I'm sorry, just to reiterate, the timeline, you've gathered together a lot of information, you're continuing to gather information.
Right.
So you'll bring back all that information to the, a synthesis of that information
Correct.
In January.
in January.
End of January.
Okay.
Have you identified any critical issues from the administration or the teachers as to
Well, heat's an issue.
drawbacks as far as moving the calendar ahead?
The heat's an issue. I think the issue about the earlier exams, the alignment, when we have kids graduate early, they can go right to COD, that's a positive. There could be issues with beginning of the fall sports season practices.
Right.
There are going to be issues with, you know, this week we'll have several concerts at the schools, very important community events. We may need to reschedule those to go to an earlier calendar. We've tried not to have any events at night during finals week. Doing it at the time we're doing it, if we were to move it forward, there would be some events at night. So, I mean, those, you know, my opinion is, there are a lot of people on both sides of this issue. There is not going to be, we're not going to get the benefit of everyone likes this and 5% don't. It's going to be a decision that we make that some people won't agree with. I don't see anything that's a showstopper. However, considering everything together, that has to give us pause. I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of issues here. I mean, this has developed a life of its own.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes.
And once again, I'm sure people are talking with other districts that have done it, but has
Oh, yeah, we
anybody
have-
done it more than a year or two ago?
We have, I mean, there are a couple different surveys of
Right.
that principals
In
get
our area,
access
though.
to, and some of our assistant superintendents have access to their professional
Right.
organizations. So we have, you know, we have data from them.
Sure.
Research or responded to surveys and their experience with it. I would say their experience is generally positive. If you ask me how many of those have air-conditioned buildings, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So.
Are we talking about, is it just 1 week? Or is it 2 weeks?
It's like 10 days or so, isn't it?
And again, it's
Depends on the calendar.
A little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're probably talking about starting school around August 19th or August 20th.
Yeah, so that's about.
We're not talking about starting on August 12th.
Yeah, there's really not a lot
Well, the
earlier than
19th
we do
was a
now.
Friday, the 17th was a Wednesday, and the
Yeah,
the 17th was,
but there's some give there too. I mean,
right.
we don't, we may not, maybe we don't take school holidays.
Right.
All right, there's other things like that we could do. I mean, those are usually,
Right.
people like the school holidays, the parents like them, and
They can do a
sometimes families
weekend.
go on trips, sometimes older kids go on college visits on those holidays. I mean, there's all kinds of
Yeah.
things that people have historically done on those holidays, but that's another option for
Yeah.
us.
That's right.
Would we be adjusting the Christmas holiday at all?
We could do that as
A
well,
little bit longer, we go longer.
Going longer before the break?
later or longer. We could do either one of those. And it wouldn't be such an issue if we made it longer because
Right.
we're starting fresh when the kids come back.
Probably
Right.
the second.
Right.
Less of a chance for also having the finals before. I think there's less of a chance for having to cancel school. As opposed to,
Because it was-
I say that.
Yeah.
but
I hate to
but
cancel during
historically,
finals
that's-
week, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
why
mostly in
that's what
January
we've
and
had the last 2
February.
years,
Right.
is we've had to postpone finals in January because of
Cold.
something happening, and
Cold weather, right.
and statistically, it's less likely before the holidays.
Yeah, in December.
But I say, I look at him smirking.
He's not going to be around to worry about it.
Boy, he misses that part of the job.
Oh, gosh.
I'm sorry, Debbie, could you just restart your question, because I don't think everybody could hear it.
I was just wondering if it would interfere the finals in the spring with any of the state series for any of the sporting
Sports?
events too, like baseball, track and field, some of those other ones, like where our finals would be versus where those events are going to be taking place.
I think the answer is yes, but I think I would also offer that I think that happens already.
Yeah, there's enough schools, yeah.
It's a small number.
Yeah.
And because those tend to go,
All over the
there's a lot
map.
of spring sports and they
Softball,
go,
baseball, yeah.
and our frankly, our kids in the spring, both schools do very well in spring sports. So, yes, there is a
So between graduation and taking finals
Right.
and competing in those
Right.
series.
We can expect that they may occur.
Okay, that'll be an interesting meeting.
Very.
I remember
Any other questions or comments on the proposed calendar?
to school.
Okay. Reports from the IASB, IASA, and IASBO annual conference.
She's looking at you.
Anybody got anything they want to report? Anything they've attended?
I don't have any big report, but I will say that attending the delegate assembly this year was the shortest and sweetest one I've ever been to.
Hooray!
You know, I just want to say.
voted along with
All went
everybody else?
according- Yeah, there was really no surprises at all.
Cool.
Yeah, and of course, there's a new president, there's a new.
Oh, right.
I just want to say that first delegate assembly, or not delegate assembly, but all of us,
Yeah.
was.
The general.
The General Assembly, thank you, was really, disappointing to say the least. I'd like
Sorry,
to
I
take
missed
the
it.
survey to say what I think, but.
That's funny, because Mike and I attended the one that was on Sunday, which generally, at least Mike and I, have always gone on the one on Sunday, and we find it always to be the
best
best one.
And I
it
can
was,
never stay.
Without exception, I think I can speak for you too, right, Mike? We just loved it.
Wow.
We came out of there just feeling like we certainly got something out
Next
of
year, I'm
that.
going to plan to be
Yeah.
able to
I
be
was
here.
really glad I left when she started to sing.
At the
What was the subject on Sunday, Deb?
The hero effect.
Hero effect, right?
Oh.
So he handed out these cards at the end. So I mean, there were I don't know if everybody got my little report, and I sent along. I sent around. There was a little clip you could go to get a little 10-minute video of it if you're interested.
You sent it today?
No, I sent it on the
Last week?
23rd of November.
Right after.
Yeah, I did it right away. Well, I could still remember it. But yeah, attached to the
I didn't see the video.
attached to the email, yeah, there was a you could click a link, and but heroes help people with no strings attached. Heroes create an exceptional experience for the people they serve. So, and they were just wonderful examples in this, in
His
some of the simplest
delivery
things.
was,
Yeah. He was funny.
personal, funny. He just hit on he was exceptional.
How about taking responsibility
Boy, I wish he
for
was first
attitude?
then.
He should have been. And that was in the comments that I put for going back to when we get surveyed about how the conference was. I said, yeah, he should have been the one on Friday to get everybody going. Heroes see life through the lens of optimism. So I mean, these things, unless you kind of were there, I mean, these are all, it seemed like obvious
Sorry, I
sort of
missed
things,
it.
but
Yeah,
it really was wonderful.
So did we have any, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Did anybody have any takeaways that we can bring back to the board for?
Well, I attended the legislative roundup, and so did Rick. We both came away with the same thing. I'm sure we didn't get much of anywhere, but it's really, the room was packed with a lot of very disturbed, irritated people, annoyed people. And the legislators did their best to present a positive face on what's happening, but there were no answers.
And they were perturbed because of
They were also
state
perturbed,
budget.
right, that things weren't happening, and
Nothing's happening,
They didn't have many answers, and then I attended another session, but I forgot to print off the PowerPoint that was
Along with it.
yeah, and it was on, and Mark can probably speak to it too. And I will take no more than another 10 seconds to look it up. The Illinois Balanced Accountability Model, which came out of the fact that we were granted the NCLB waiver. That this is a district in Kildare, countryside, that has really gone into the accountability model in great detail, but I'll try and bring that along to the next meeting next Monday, because it was very interesting. And yeah, it's a whole different way of approaching curriculum and all kinds of things that helps us continue to get the waiver. But of course now NCLB is sort of being decimated anyway, finally by Congress, so it may not matter, but it was a very interesting session.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I cut you off, Mike.
It's okay. I was just going to hit on, I said to everybody this so you can read through it, but just a couple quick highlights, and just wanting to say thank you too. I mean, I appreciate the district supports us, and we, in doing this, and it's important for us in order for us to be more powerful, engaged, informed school board members, because I'm an architect by day, so I mean, how else am I going to get better at this unless I get some continuing education in what we do? And I know all you feel the same way, so this is why we do it. And I attended several sessions, and were some pretty good takeaways. Just a couple highlights. For instance, we're always talking about how we can engage the community, and so I attended a session about that. And these were all sessions that Mark had kind of highlighted for us, so I know we hit on those.
Appreciated that too.
And but it kind of an idea that kind of goes along with my notion of needing to meet people where they're at. Having board members maybe occasionally attend other board meetings in the community. So for instance, a YMCA or PTA or library board or a senior citizen group or something. So instead of asking people to come meet us, if occasionally one of us were actually going to some of these other community groups and saying, here I am, and I'm here, and if you want to ask me any questions. It was, I thought, an interesting thing. There some interesting ideas regarding negotiations with in contracts. Also some ideas about what's happening down in Springfield and how we can deal with all that. And one of the suggestions that I thought was kind of a couple that were kind of creative is that you could actually invite legislators to come to some of your events. And they're always looking for ways to publicize themselves, and we're looking for ways to connect them and have them be accountable. And so why not invite them to some of your honors assembly sort of things, the recognition that we do the 3 times a year. Why not invite them to some of the things that we're doing and say, hey, There's going to be a group of people here, and we're your constituents, and
Next year's an
love
election
to
year.
see you. You know, it's
I'll buy Governor Rauner his ticket to Pizza Wars.
There you go. Exactly. But that's.
No, I'm serious.
That's I just thought it was just creative. These are things that other boards, other districts have done, and then we always talk about trying to come up with a resolution. You know, when we look at what ISB is doing and the resolutions that come up every year that Deb is voting on and representing us in, and they suggested, one of the sessions I attended suggested, why not partner with other school boards? Other school boards have done this. So get together with 58, 68, some of our local districts, and sponsor a resolution together. It does the dual thing of getting our boards together and talking about something that's relevant, which we've been talking about, and it gives more credence to what it is that you're bringing forward to ISB, because you're not just coming forward as one district, you're coming forward as several districts all supporting an initiative or a position. So it has more power. And so I thought that was an interesting takeaway too, and I had several others, but you got the report, so.
We would be remiss if we didn't congratulate you.
Oh, that's right. I'm now the last member of this board to be certified PDLC para leadership. Yeah. Well, kudos to, like I said, kudos to all of you for not procrastinating like I did. But now we're all certified and
we're all legal.
And that's right. That's right. So I can vote on contractual things regarding our teachers and other employees and what have you. So yes.
Congratulations. Does anybody else want to share something from the conference? Hearing none, we'll have the reception of visitors. Does anybody want to address the board?
Guys, say something.
Hearing and seeing none.
We were so exciting, they all left.
Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Terry moves, Mike seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are
Thank you.
adjourned. Thank you.
All right.